Hundepraxis, der Podcast mit Christina Räder.
Ja, hallo und schön, dass ihr wieder eingeschaltet habt zum Hundepraxis Podcast. Heute müsst ihr euch ein bisschen einstellen darauf, dass wir heute hier nicht Deutsch sprechen werden, denn ich habe einen ganz besonderen Gast und ich werde ein bisschen switchen. Ich hoffe, dass ihr mir auch in Englisch folgen könnt. And I like to introduce to my guest today. I'm very happy that he has agreed to record this episode today with me. He was the Gundog trainer of the year 2017 and he runs successful Cockers, Springers and Labradors. Also, of course, in trials, he's giving training for Gundog people on his premium training grounds located in the UK. Also, he's a panel judge for field trials. And last but not least, during the time he is well known for developing the Gundog app that is useful for people to train their Gundog wherever they are out in the field, just needing the mobile phone. I think usually everybody has it in his pocket. And yes, so I'm very happy to welcome today Ben Randall. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking it. Good evening.
Ben, when did you start with the Gundog training? I saw that this is really family business.
Yes, it's a family business. We've for the last 30 years, I started as a young lad, young teenager, with Gundogs, Springers, Cockers, and Labradors. And my love for the sport has continued throughout those decades. And I changed my methods of training quite a lot over those 3 decades, as you can imagine, reading lots of books, talking to lots of people, training with people all over the UK, Europe, and all over America. And I developed a system that I thought that suited me. And it was a system of reward-based training, positive methods, no bullying. And I thought that was the best way to train them and get the best out of my dogs. I felt that my relationship was better with them and I bonded better because they trusted me. And I felt that was the way forward. So I put this into training. I've made a couple of champions before this, but I always struggled to maintain them for any more than 3 or 4 years, and they got too hot and I couldn't control them as I wanted to. So I decided to develop this with a dog called Hundepraxis, and she was a little cocker bitch. 14 years ago, I started training this way. And she started really working well, and she enjoyed my type of training programs and the positive reinforcement I was using. Our bond got stronger and stronger. And sort of the rest is history with her, really, because she went on to win the championships back to back, the British Championships. And that's now, I think it's 48 years since it's been done. She's left quite a legacy behind. And I just felt that my bond with her was so strong. So all the dogs from then, I started training with this method. And I met a guy called Christian Forsberg, who is Swedish and English. And he had a Cocker Spaniel. And that Cocker Spaniel was trained with old-fashioned type methods. And he was struggling with this. It was his best friend. And he didn't want to be telling him off all the time. He wanted to enjoy his dog. So he approached me with a dog which was pretty bad. And with my methods, we developed this dog that he really enjoys now as a family dog. And we both had an idea about developing more videos to help people, because he said I explain it very well. And my videos come across as a good learning tool. I'm a psychologist, so I tend to really get into people's minds and help them understand things very well. So we developed the world's first Gundog app. So no one in the world has done this before. I can see why now, because it's taken us a year to develop with a lot of expense and a lot of time and effort and lots of dogs and lots of trial and error. But we now have a system with over 300 videos of all my reward-based programs explaining to you from a puppy right the way through to a champion dog if you require that. Now, most of my clients just want a beautifully well-trained dog that lives in the house or the kennel, can go shooting with any member of the family, but they can all enjoy it. And the Gundog app gives you that. In the UK, it's very hard to get lessons with dog trainers. There's a lot of traveling involved. There's times off work. that means it's time away from your family. So most people in the UK, I'm not sure about Europe, we get about 15, 20 days holiday from work. So if you have 5 lessons a year or 10 lessons a year, that's most of your family holiday gone. That's not very nice on a family. They miss out on the time with their father or their mother. So having the Gundog app has given you the best of both worlds. You have me in your pocket 24/7 to help you, watch me, learn from me, learn from my mistakes. We've also got a monthly webinar, and the webinar is fully interactive where clients can put their videos on and we discuss them as a community. So we've created a BG community. So we have lots of people involved all over the world with different dogs and different ages and different problems and different standards. Throughout the UK and the world, they post videos and we talk and discuss and help each other, which I think is invaluable when you have a community all helping each other and on Instagram tagging each other into things and commenting on each other, and it gives everyone a real motivation to train their dogs and make their dogs good, and it gives them a bit of competition, which is nice. So for me, it's just been a bit of a whirlwind. We've had amazing coverage and thousands of people from novice trainers to full professionals are now using it all over the world. And it's remarkable that I think America's the hardest place because they're very e-collar trained.
Yeah.
And I'm not a believer with the e-collar. I don't think it's needed. Europe is not using it as much, but I know that the US use it 90%, I would say. But I know that lots of people I talk to in the US and I help in the US now don't use it, and they now realize they didn't need it. My biggest goal is to try and get America to change their views on the e-collar. Whilst it has its place in America, there are other ways, and our dogs in the UK are beautifully bred. They're the best bred gun dogs in the world. Everyone comes to the UK to get our lines. And I think that one way of improving America will be to improve more British lines because they're kind and they're biddable and they're easier to train than the American dogs. And that is one issue that we need to address. And if we address that, then we can start training even more positively with dogs that are easier and kinder and want to work with their partners. I'm not saying I want to change everyone's views, but it's just I prefer to do it that way. And I think it's a well-known fact that the British standard of gun dogs is probably one of the highest in the world. We have the most volume of game to control our dogs under on shoots, on field trials. There's birds everywhere. So we have to have very well-trained dogs, dogs that listen, and dogs that want to work as part of a partnership with their owners, or we'd never control them. So it does show that these methods work and it's proven. And that's why people are using the app. And it's been fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds very well, and I think it's getting all over the world, and especially the part that the mind that is behind that, and the training methods that are behind that, to bring them all over. And of course, we see also the retrievers trained in the US, and like you said, also it's a kind of way how they get to the training, and maybe that somebody who's really into the thing and really into the trialing, he's showing how he's working, and you are showing how you're working and what methods you are preferring, and that it works. That is the thing. I think that is the proof some or the most people have to see. And when you focus in the training, or of course it's called the Gundog app, but there are also coming other people to your training, I think also. So maybe they're getting family pets. Are you also training family pets? The app is also useful for people that are just getting out with the family pets.
Yes, a lot of the family pets in the UK are Cocker Spaniels and Labradors, but we use it on all dogs. So all dogs need to have manners. It would benefit everybody if their dogs would sit, would walk to heel, would stay and behave in all environments and never let their owners down. So the Gundog app still gives my clients with their pet dogs that behavior. And obviously, if we do it from a puppy, it's far better. And so for young dogs, especially, the app is really, really good. If you have a slightly older dog, that's fine, because we can look at going through each stage. And if you have a dog that's 14, 15 months old and you want to work on blind retrieves, I show you how I go through the blind retrieve process and how I work at this and the polish. And each week we're filming more, and we have hundreds of videos that need editing now. So we've got a big job during February to re-edit all these videos and put new videos up. For the Gundog app, I started training a little bitch called Bonnie. Lots of people have seen Bonnie all over the world. Everyone's trying to buy her off me, but she's not for sale, so everyone knows. But we've been training this puppy from day one using the app. And I believe that she is, I think, about 7 months old now. And I've got about 300 videos of her. So these videos are going to be put together. Hopefully I can show people them. But this season, she will be, believe it or not, going out onto the chute on the peg with me. She's very advanced. She sits, she stays, she's kind, easy. She's controlled in nearly any environment. And it just proves what I wanted to prove to my community and the world, what can be achieved at such a young age if you do it this way. And not let them have wild fun and wild days out with other dogs. And my owners can't control them that way. They have a dog that looks at them with their eyes and trusts them. And the partnership is very strong. Our partnership with Bonnie and myself is incredible. And she trusts me implicitly, which for me, trust is the only way to train a dog. If they don't trust you, they never ever really learn. It's like a child and a teacher. If you trust your teacher and believe in your teacher, you will learn. So it's very similar with our dogs.
I understand what you're speaking about, because it's also a little bit the thing I'm training after, and I think it's very similar for what we are doing here. Of course, we don't have the trialing scene like this, sadly, but yes. So when you said, of course, all dogs need manners, also, a frame, I think, it's very important, because it doesn't matter if you have a gun dog or if you have a family pet. And he also said that trust is the very special thing you need to have to the dog, or the dog has to have to you. And what are the things for you that are really basics for training the dog? I heard about the relationship between, and what are the points that are really important. I would say maybe not with the commands, but what is the special thing you have to have with the dog for training?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in the world with dogs is allowing them from 8 weeks old to have freedom. This is the biggest mistake everyone with every breed in the world makes. And they ask me why their dogs don't recall back to them. So I want you to imagine you buy a puppy at 8 weeks old and you exercise that puppy 10 times a day on the garden to go to wee. So in that first month, that puppy has gone to wee already 300 times and ran around the garden and done its own thing. And a lot of the time, the dog will get away from you and be in the hedges and running around, and you leave it out there for 10 minutes. And then you get to 12 weeks, 14, 15, 16 weeks, 5 months, and the dog has had 5 months of freedom. Going to toilet, being left in the garden, going for walks while you're on your phone, videoing the dog, and the dog's wandering off. The whole time, the dog is developing and honing its skills. And it's getting better and better at using its nose. And the better it gets at using its nose, the less it needs us. And this is why the dogs will not recall back to us when we ask them, because why would they? why do they need to come back to us to be told off and go on the lead? So my dogs don't get that freedom. They get to train with me and build a bond and trust with me from day one. So they're pack animals and they want to be part of a pack, and they are part of my pack. So from day one, I play with the puppies like the mother would. I get close to them. I get down to their level. I interact with them. I sit on the sofa with me. I do all those things that a pet person does. But I am the mother of the pack. I am in charge. So they can't bite me. They can't, jump all over me unless I ask them to. I start to interact with them with their food at the start, and I create the patience game. So I have manners around each feed time, and I teach them patience and control. And whilst I'm teaching them patience, I'm teaching them life's commands. So I'm teaching them to sit, to stay in an area patiently. I'm teaching them to hunt whistle, to recall whistle, to stop whistle, the verbal sit, and the recall. So they do using all these commands at 4 feed times per day as a puppy. So 4 times a day times 30 days, that dog has learnt all those commands and knows them inside out. So we now have a young dog that goes out in the garden for a wee, can't wait to wee quickly and come back to me. And I put this amazing thing around its neck. It's called a lead. And it can't wait to have the lead on because I give it a small bit of kibble each time. And then it walks back to the house with me and can't wait to get in its crate or its bed because I give it another little treat. And it's only one small little bit of kibble. So that dog wants to go outside to wee, and it wants to come back to me because I'm going to do something with it. So on those first toilet exercises I do, on the app, there's a video which is 8 minutes long, and it's called Toilet Training Opportunities. And it explains how and why I do it in a specific way. I'm not talking to you about just going to toilet. I'm talking about how I do the process each day, and why I insist on the final part of the video is the most important part. So all my training is about developing a relationship and a bond from day one, just like the bond they have with their siblings and the bond they have with their mother. I want to take over from the mother. I don't want to be the alpha male, the bully. I just want to be the mother of the pack, and I want them to respect me, but want to be with me and be close to me. And I want the eye contact and the trust to build. And I find it really easy to get that with my system, my training program. I can't remember the last dog I owned that didn't want to be with me and didn't want to work closely with me and stay with me. But decades ago, I remember the dogs that didn't want to be with me, and they wanted to be off hunting, and I was always having to get them and pull them back all the time. And then they go again, I pull them back, and then they wouldn't stop on the whistle. I have to go and tell them off, make them sit, repeat. I had a good 10, 12 years of that, maybe 20 years potentially. And then I've changed this new system, and I never get that anymore. I don't have to train them every day. I just have to do something with them each day. But I don't have to specifically go out and train them hard every day and jumping and swimming and running. And I don't need that. My dogs get trained a couple of times a week, 3 times a week. But during the rest of the time, they're family dogs. But I call it BG always training. They're always doing something. They're always sitting while another dog eats. When my sons are having breakfast in the morning, they're sat in the bed watching them eat breakfast. They're not jumping at the table. When they go and get up from breakfast, they've always got a bit of crust and they give it to them, but they've got to wait for it. So it's just simple things that we can all do as for our family dogs and our family to help make these dogs better.
Yeah, so just small things always, what you're doing during the day with the dogs. You don't need to go out big in the field to train something. So you just have to do some basic work. So they have enough to do usually. So for your own, you train cockers, springers, and Labradors. Do you have a favorite breed, or what's your fascinating about these 3 breeds you're using for you?
I think my first ever dog was a Labrador, and I grew up with Labradors right the way through my teenage years. And then I decided to buy a Springer Spaniel, and I love the power of a Springer and the hunting and watching them find things. And it really helped train my Labradors because I learned more about the wind and the scent by having a Spaniel than I did it with a Labrador. My uncle was a professional Labrador trainer, so I learned with him lots. What is my favorite breed? It's hard to say because I really enjoy my Labradors, and there's nothing better than having 3 or 4 labs on a shoot, handling them hundreds of yards, picking retrieves, people watching you. It just looks incredible. And I get a real enjoyment out of that. But also, because I'm a rugby player, I love the speed and the aggression and the hunting ability of a Springer and a Cocker. If I had to really say, I think Cocker is slightly gets it for me because they're naughty and they're crazy little things. And I quite enjoy them. When they go wrong, I tend to laugh. When my Labradors go wrong, it's the end of the world, because I take them more seriously than the Cockers maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that a Labrador, for me, a retriever, is the ultimate pet stroke shooting family companion.
Yeah.
I don't think another dog in the world for me compares. And I'll give you a quick example. I've just retired a Labrador at 6 years old, 6.5. I had a spade. I could have had another litter, but she's a good bitch and she's done me proud. So I had a spade and I gave her to my wife, who already has 2 dogs, and they're not gun dogs. She doesn't shoot. They're just pets. And she said to me last week, it feels like she's won the lottery because she's now got a Labrador which follows her everywhere, doesn't jump up, walks a hill off the lead, never runs off, always comes back when she asks it, never lets her down in front of clients, never jumps up at them. She said it's just the ultimate dog, Ben. And I see her with it and I see her walking with it. And I think you have got the ultimate animal. But everyone can have that because I trained her with the Gundog app systems. So we can all have those dogs if we listen from day one.
Yeah, so if you make it clear from day one. So yes, of course, every breed has its specials, and of course, maybe they are a little bit different characters, of course, because the working type they are doing. And now you said next week you are going out for the Springer Championship. That's the last one for this season, I think so.
Yeah. We've had the retrievers and we've had the Cockers, and now it's the Springers. I've been lucky enough to, like I say, win the Cockers twice, and I've judged the Cockers and judged the Springers. So it's the test of the best dogs in the country all going together. Would a Springer at the Springer Championships make a great pet? No. They're highly strung animals, and most of them are real working dogs, and most of them are kennel dogs. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them. So I'm one of the very few that would be in the championships with a dog that sleeps in the house, in the kitchen. I do get a bit of joking about it, but when it wins, they can't joke. But I think that I just want to enjoy my dogs more. Yes, they are in the kennels as well, but in the summer months, they're on the patio, sleeping, relaxing, sunbathing, we're having barbecues. In the winter months when it's really cold, I've got a big shoot room and they all come in the bed in the shoot room and cuddle up together and log burners on. I want to enjoy my dogs. I want to see them, be around them, and I want them to be part of my life. I don't want them to be locked in the kennel 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that's just, I decided to do it. And I think you're all the same, I would imagine.
Of course, my dogs are inside with me, so and they are also getting out for the shootings and stuff like this. So I have dogs because I want to be with the dogs, and because they are friends for me, and we're working together, and we have a relationship, and I like to have them around me and not out in a kennel. And so I I'm really happy to have them. And yeah, I think time's running out, but we, of course, do the link for the Gundog training app down to the box where you can find it when you are not familiar with that at the moment, so that you know where you can get it. Also, maybe you talked about the BG community. That's maybe also possible when you have the Gundog training app to get a little bit in contact with that. So we're doing the links down into the box. And I just can thank you for speaking about a little bit your idea, what's behind that app. And yeah, it's nice to speak with you about the training idea from the puppy to the champion, and really to have a proof that training a gun dog doesn't have to be stuff or always the old stuff, being out in the kennel and not being always awful with the dog, just making a good bond and training your friend that he's doing everything you want to do outside. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Hundepraxis, der Podcast mit Christina Räder.